Hey, how you doing? This is Ed Gray. Doing my thing, chilling, recovering from knee and leg surgery. More difficult than what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be up next week, doing some political stuff. And the doctor told me, he said, hey, just continue to do what you're doing. I wouldn't advise you to do that Labor Day. I advise you to be at your home, relaxing, getting ready to get ready for the fall season, if you will. But this past election, or shall I say, this past redistricting has shown me a lot. It's shown me a lot about what's going on in Texas. As I said before on my first My Voice, My Opinion piece, Texas is Mississippi with oil wells. I still believe that. I believe that in the sense that I want to spend a couple of minutes with you this morning talking to you about what I observed in this past redistricting fight. As you know, the governor is going to sign the redistricting map, which will go ahead and allow 5 additional seats to transfer over into Republican hands. And that being said, Governor Greg Abbott will follow in the footsteps, the political footsteps of Governor George C. Wallace. Now, I know someone's going to probably make a deal about what I just said. If you do, go to hell on and do it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I am not a politician per se. I would love to be in the political process, but I'm involved in the political process as a social activist, not as a politician who seeks votes. A politician seeks your votes because he seeks his votes, seeks your votes for power and prestige, and also to serve the public. Those 3 things. But in order to do that, he has to sometimes assign blame for a failed policy or failed effort. And that's what this is about. This is about a failed policy and a failed effort to win. And that being said, I want to address what normally happens when Democrats lose. They blame black folk. Yep, that's right, they blame black folk. They always do. They always do. Despite the fact that black folk recently voted in great numbers has only been since 1968. That's right. 1968 was the first election in which black people, generally speaking, could vote throughout the United States of America. But yet, we assign blame, and a lot of times it's what black elected officials will assign blame and say that the reason why this happened is because you, as a black person, didn't get out and vote. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. Because this is what I've observed here, is that the Democratic Party has traditionally assigned blame because in order for them to win, they need a strong turnout from the black base. And generally speaking, we give it to them, lock, stock, and barrel, because we have no other place to go. But in having no other place to go, you shouldn't assign blame for the lack of voters that you've already lost. A good example of lack of voters that you've already lost, the Democratic Party, is working class white voters. That's what they call poor white people. They never say working class black voters. They never say that, but they just say poor black people. But when it comes to poor white people, we have to give them a name, such as working class white voters. That way we can always point the blame to say that society itself has failed them because they're working and they are part of the lower class, so therefore they're working class white voters. But when it comes to black people being poor, then okay, that's what? Them Negroes poor. So that's what that is. So now when we lose working class white voters who go over to the Republican Party, and they go over to the Republican Party and they go with Donald Trump, but no one says anything about that. It's on us. It's on us. It's also on us when the border situation, in which we had a porous border that everyone could see. Everyone could see that that was wrong, totally wrong, that we needed to do something about it. Black voters, generally speaking, was quiet because they understood the racism involved in this. But, you know, when it came down to it, Hispanic voters looked at this whole thing and said, that were already here, they said, yeah, we need to do something about the borders. And then because they changed the borders, the Democratic Party said that, hey, look, we can't say nothing about that because we'll lose Hispanic voters. And guess what happened? They lost Hispanic voters. But meanwhile, black voters, we shoulder the blame for that. The Democratic Party lost working class white voters, poor whites. They lost Hispanic voters, Mexican Americans, but yet they decided to go ahead and blame black voters for it. And now we go down in redistricting and we end up losing again. So we end up losing again. We end up losing because we were outflanked by Republicans. And some of them, no doubt, were racist, but power is power. So that being the case, I want to say to my friends in the Democratic Party, who make posts and say that you, as a black person, not directed to me, because I've voted in every election since March of 1980, but you as black people have no reason to complain because you didn't come out and vote. But yet, from that district, when they win their re-election, they say, I got my people out to vote. Whether or not they won by 5 votes, 2,500 votes in a district that has 25,000 voters that could be there and only 5,000 showed up, they will go ahead and claim that electoral victory and say that my people came out to vote. Our people came out to vote. We have to stop assigning blame. Stop assigning blame and realize that when people decide to go to Illinois to break quorum, that was a political choice. But when a brother and sister in the hood decide not to vote, that in turn becomes a political choice as well. Because ultimately you have to give the people something to vote for them to feel like something's worthwhile for them to vote. Because once they do that, then they will come out and vote. So as I get ready to go to a close, I'm reminded that Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by actual voting percentage. She lost the Electoral College, but guess who was to blame for that? It was black voters. You guys didn't come out like you voted for Barack Obama. Well, hell no. Barack Obama is a black man. Hillary Clinton is a white woman. So, of course, the voting turnout wouldn't be the same. That is stupid. But to blame, I'm just so shook up behind that, but to blame black voters for that is a fallacy of the Democratic Party. In order for Democrats to go ahead and win again in the state of Texas, you have to put forward an effective coalition that unite all the people for the state of Texas, not just certain cliques. Thank you, and I appreciate it. I don't want to get further upset. It's time for me to go back to therapy and walk again for you, the American people. Take care.